Let's start 2 weeks ago. DJ Newman, Brady Birchmeier, Sam Seidel, TJ Tackett's all on the shelf. And here we are, 30 wins in back-to-back years. First time doing that since 2001, 2002. We get next man up mentality, but how exactly have you been able to fill the gaps left by some of your best players?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's really difficult to get the news because those guys do a lot for our program in a lot of ways, not just on the field, but also in the community and in the classroom. And their presence in the lineup is a big deal. So it comes down to the recruiting classes that we've stacked back to back. Really, the last 3-4 recruiting classes have been outstanding, and they've provided the depth that's allowed us to still be not just competitive, but win some baseball games. And Matt Remblack, Joey Gamache have done a great job over the past couple of years of taking that on, and that's the result of their hard work and complete classes coming together to understand that while I may not be starting the year off in the role I want, it could find me at a later date, and we've had guys step up in those guys' absence.
You guys were pretty much locked into the 4 seed for a while. How much did that help you recover health-wise, knowing that your fate for the MAC tournament was pretty much decided early on?
Yeah, Brady Birchmeier specifically grinded through some things, and then we were able to get him a break as we clinched our spot and get him closer to 100%, which is where he's at now. And then that allowed Sam Seidel to kind of rehab and get through his injury and be available for last week and now heading into this week. So I think just it's a testament to the team stepping up and doing what the team needs. And one of our quotes we use a lot in this program is the strength of our team is the fact that we are a team. And we all dress the same and we all go about our business in a similar fashion. And we're in an era of individuality, and at BGSU we're a team in every sense of the word.
And one of the individuals that have had a huge impact is Garrett Wright. You said, quote, "Impact's winning as much as any player I've ever been in the dugout with, and that includes my playing and coaching career." That is huge praise for any player. How much more has he meant to this team considering how much injuries you guys have suffered this year?
Yeah, I think the normal names that you see around him in the lineup when they were absent, he continued to just do what he does. He became the guy at the top of the scouting report. Not that he necessarily wasn't before, but he had a couple other names up there with him. And now it's Garrett Wright is the guy you circle as do not let beat you. And he found ways to still beat people, not just at catching behind the plate, not just at the plate hitting wise, but he threw a guy out last weekend against Northern Illinois from center field. He's just makes the plays when you absolutely need him to. And a lot of that comes back to he doesn't change who he is, whether it's the 9th inning, the 1st inning, whether it's a September practice, whether it's a practice in May getting ready for the MAC tournament. Great players don't have bad practices, and so far through 2 years, I can't remember a day where he's had a bad practice.
Would it be correct to say when he's on his game, it elevates the rest of the team?
Yes, he forces a lot of people to match his intensity, match his level of production, and he's understanding how to communicate that to one another and really just become a leader in every sense of the word. He's been able to do that just because of how well he plays and the level at which he goes about his business. People may play as hard as him, but I haven't seen anyone this year play harder. And when he's out there, he's a thermostat. He sets the temperature, and if you're in his airspace, you're going to operate at the level he is going about his business at. And, normally he's running a little hot, which is
Which game or series can you point to from earlier this season where you can think from a health perspective and a performance perspective that if your team is playing like that, if that's the lineup you're putting out, you're going to be a hard out in the MAC tournament?
Yeah, I like the lineup we put out on Friday and Saturday this week. The most latest one is good enough to get this job done this week. We believe in that process, and we believe in those guys. And that's, what we're going to roll out there is as healthy as we're going to be this year. We can talk about and think about what could have been in July and August when the season's over. But right now, we still have the pen in our hands, and we control our destiny. And, another thing we like to talk about in this program is the winners are the ones that author the history books, and we still have the pen in our hand to write how we want this last chapter to go in the MAC tournament. So we need to be ready to play at that level, and and tell our story from our perspective.
In this last chapter of the season, it's starting with another battle of I-75. You guys won the first game, but after TJ Tackett's went down, you dropped the last two. How do you go about evaluating that film, considering you're healthier now than you were in that series?
Yeah, we'll have Birchmeyer, we'll have Seidel, we'll have guys with more experience than they had 2 or 3 weeks ago too. And we've got 9 innings to play, which, our guys have done a great job of being in tournament mode, as we call it, where we're 9 innings at a time with who we've had available and who we haven't had available. We've had to only focus on those 9 innings that we're playing that day. So we've been in this mode for a while. We feel confident that our guys understand how to handle it. And if we've done our job as coaches, they don't have to change now that it's the MAC tournament. We should have been operating at this level since our very first meeting in August. And if you stack 9 months together, you let it all come down to 4 days in May, you can live with the outcome.
And you guys are playing the 6 p.m. game. If you were to lose against Toledo, you have to play at 10 a.m. the next day. Considering how banged up your roster has been throughout the season, how much of a sense of urgency is there to not make it to the 10 a.m. game and give yourself an opportunity to rest and recover if you were to beat Toledo?
Yeah, it's really important to just be playing 1 game a day. And after you get through Wednesday and Thursday, there's the potential to be playing 2 games in a day on Friday and Saturday, and you want to stay in that late game as long as you possibly can. That normally means you're winning. So now the fact that we're starting in the 6 o'clock game means we got to put up a fight to stay in those 6 o'clock games. And, our guys will come ready to play. We know Toledo will come ready to play. It's going to be great for the area, and, I'm hoping that a lot of people come up for both schools and represent. I'm sure the MAC's excited. Get a rivalry game like that with seasons on the line. It should be well attended, and the blood's going to be boiling. The juices are going to be flowing, and I look forward to seeing how those 27 outs play out.
What can you take away from being the 1 seed last year, not winning the title, and bring to this year?
Yeah, I think our guys know what it's like in Avon. They understand that everything we've done at practice, every rep, gets magnified. And normally in the tournament, it's the team that makes the least amount of mistakes, doesn't give up first base for free, catches the ball and makes an out when the ball hits their glove, gets timely hitting, quality at-bats, all those things that you talk about. You've had 56 games to cover, and now it's going to come down to who can do it the best over 96 hours and what your practices have looked like leading up to that. So I think, you can't cheat experience. We got some good experience. There's a hunger here to do more with it, and just turn our guys loose and get out of the way and let them go do what they're going there to do.
You mentioned a lineup this past weekend, that's your lineup, that you can win and beat anybody with. But what is the X factor? What is one thing that if it goes right, you guys will be a tough out in the MAC tournament?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest thing with both sides of the baseball is going to be the leadoff hitter. If we can get the leadoff hitter on, we have shown the ability to move them to different bases. We can hit and run, we can bunt, we can step up and hit the long ball if we need to too, which, Sam Seidel proved in our last game on Saturday. So, I think getting the leadoff guy on offensively is going to be key. Controlling their leadoff guy, whoever we're playing on the mound and defensively, not allowing that first guy to get on is important. And then everything with 2 outs matters. Are we extending our inning with 2 outs? That runs up the pitch count of the other pitcher. And, are we shutting innings down? As soon as we get to 2 outs, can we get that next guy out and save our pitch count, but then shut an inning down? If you can keep guys to 1 run or no runs, you got a chance to do well in this tournament.
And looking at your schedule, last year you played Tennessee and Ohio State, 2 high-level power conference opponents. This year playing Notre Dame. How much do those games against those higher-level opponents help you for moments like these?
I think it's big because when you play those teams, normally the game speeds up. And then you get back into the conference and it starts to slow down, and you understand your margin for error. When you're playing those bigger schools, you don't have as much as you think you have. Then you get back in the conference and those pitches you made, they maybe got squared up in the gap or they hit over the fence, those might be outs the next week. And you get confidence from being on the field, and the biggest thing is just the pace of play and the margin for error. And when you put those teams on the schedule, it's going to be tougher. You want to simulate something that maybe you're doing at practice or maybe you can do a little bit better. One of the big things about playing Tennessee last year was we took a lot of things from them that they did that we could implement better on our end. And we all got better because of it, which led to a really good conference season. And we've got our eyes open to learn, our ears open to learn. That's why you get 2 of those things and one of the mouth. So, we're paying attention at all times and finding ways to get better. And, And our guys want to compete against the best. Part of the sell with recruiting these guys is to get on the field with it. Next year we plan on opening up with Georgia Tech. You know, you want to play professional baseball, you want to play at the highest level, you want this program, you know, one day be ranked and do all the things, the special things that's happened here before. You got to get on the field with it, and you got to be comfortable in uncomfortable environments, and that's what we're going to continue to do because our guys have proven that they want to be those guys.
And finally, it's hard to imagine your guys being any more pumped up and ready for Wednesday than they are now. But for it to be a rivalry game against Toledo, how much more does that add to the matchup, knowing that you could potentially end the season of a rival?
Yeah, I think it's just something from a coaching standpoint. We're just monitoring them and keeping them on the right track and controlling their emotions, right? I mean, they might get a little extra higher when we do something well. There's no reason to get low or go below the line. When it comes to adversity, and it's going to be all about momentum, gaining momentum, then stopping momentum, because they're going to create momentum and we're going to create momentum, and whoever controls that is going to probably have the more successful day and come out on top. But, you know, just from a simplistic standpoint, it's not going to be one of those big-time speeches. You don't have to when you're playing your rival at this point in the season. Everyone knows what's on the line. So, again, you just get to this point, and you turn the guys loose and, you know, hope everything you've worked on in practice for 9 months shows up when you need it. Play your best when it matters the most.